All right, next up is Sebastian. Sebastian, what's up, man? What question do you have for our millionaires?
Mark the Machine moderator. What's up, dog? I don't even know you, but I'm going to greet you like that anyway. So I don't want to take too much time because there's literally 564 people that want to talk ahead of me. But just a quick background, not that it matters, but I help marketers and entrepreneurs go from idea to iTunes in 90 days or less by starting their own podcast. And that's not what I'm here to talk about today, but if you're interested, go ahead and slide into my DMs. My question for your millionaires is, are you guys really millionaires? And two, how do you pivot from like $0 to seven figures in 24 hours? If you can help me unpack that, that'd be great. Wow. So many truth bombs. Thanks so much, Spencer. I'm following all you guys. I got to jump on a call, but I'll be back to talk about myself soon.
Welcome to the show, everyone. This is Wednesday afternoon therapy. Welcome to the Do What Is Necessary live stream. Coming to you live right here from a very warm and sunny short and t-shirt weather here in the Midwest. Finally, I'm so happy about that and so excited about that. I can't even tell you. After a long COVID winter, I am ready for shorts and t-shirt weather. So let me know that you can hear me okay. Give me a thumbs up. Put it in the comments. Give me a thumbs up that you can hear me okay. I certainly appreciate that. We'll get all that technical stuff out of the way first off. So welcome to the broadcast, Steve Brand. It is evening time for you, so hopefully you're kicking back, relaxing and chilling after a long Wednesday. But we just want to welcome you to the broadcast this afternoon, this evening. Wherever in the world you're tuning in from, please drop that in the comments. I'm always curious to see where people watch the show from. We have a global audience, and as you can see as we go forward through the show, we will have people joining from all over the world, whether that's morning, evening, afternoon, and sometimes the middle of the night. We've had people log into the show from Sri Lanka at 3:15 a.m. They are tuning in to this broadcast. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for sharing your earbuds with me. Thank you for giving me the loud and clear that everything is coming in good. Hopefully not too loud. But yes, I'm excited that we're another Wednesday. We made it halfway through another week. We are in quarter number 2 of 2021 already. Can you believe it? I mean, this is just... I can't believe we're in April already. Like I said, I'm excited about it, but certainly happy to have you tuning in. If you're watching us on the broadcast as well, please drop that in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from and whether or not you're a first-time listener. So if you're listening right now, put in the comments that you're a first-time listener or first-time catching the broadcast. Welcome to the show. Another repeat guest, Robert Gibbons, always supporting the love from the UK. Thank you so much for all that you do for the Team Orange and this show right here, the Do What Is Necessary live stream. So shout out to all of you who are watching and tuning in today. We're so excited to have you on the broadcast. If you've never caught this show before, let me introduce myself. My name is Andrew Moon. I am the Orange Nomad. I run a company called Orange Nomad. And I help hustling entrepreneurs become calm CEOs. That's what I'm all about. And that is facilitated by what I call doing what is absolutely necessary. And that's why I started this show, so that I can help people do what's necessary, because this isn't about 10x this and, hustle and grind to work your face off till you fall over mentality. I am the polar opposite of that. I, preach the polar opposite of that, and that's what this show started as a year ago. On April 1st, we started this show to support entrepreneurs, to support business owners, to actually cut through all the garbage out there and figure out what is actually necessary for you. And that is what this show is 100% dedicated to do. So welcome, Bruce Skinner from Aberdeenshire. We appreciate that. He's tuning in as well. Looks like we've got some folks that know each other. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We're excited to have some repeat viewers on the show as well. We've got a LinkedIn user who's hidden. This is their first time. Let me just bump over to LinkedIn, see I can figure out who our surprise guest is. It could be just you have your security settings a little too high. We can't see your picture, so we're not sure who you're. But I will certainly welcome to the show, and I will put in the comments after the show to thank you so much for tuning in. So, let's see here. Bruce, Steve says hi. So again, we've got some folks who know each other, which is pretty cool. So, Zach Hill tuning in for the first time. So welcome to the show, Zach. We appreciate all of the IT folks who are tuning in and all that you do every single week to keep everybody working from home, to keep the lights on, to keep businesses running. Thank you so much. I can't shout out enough. Spending 30 years in the channel, I have an immense love for what IT folks do. So let's get into our topic this week, and let's talk about Clubhouse. And before I get rolling on here, these are 5 reasons not to join Clubhouse. If you're already on there, please don't let me rain on your parade. That's not what I'm here to do by any stretch. However, again, this is the theme of the show, is doing what is necessary. And that's what I want to help, flesh out is it actually necessary for you to be on Clubhouse? And if you feel that you're getting benefit of being on Clubhouse already, great. And again, don't let me rain on your parade. But like I said, this is just different points of view and my humble opinion as we go forward. And this is meant to, facilitate some dialogue as to what Clubhouse is and what you should think about before diving deep into the platform. So again, if you're on Clubhouse already, put that in the comments. Let me know. But also let me know too is what is the benefit that you're seeing out of Clubhouse, already. So again, I'm open to people sharing ideas. This is just me, and this is a few others out there that I'll share in the broadcast who we question whether or not Clubhouse is actually necessary for us, and that's what this episode is meant to be. So let me take a quick drink, and we'll dive deep into our topic today. All right. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, and my first reason why I think people should think twice about being on Clubhouse. How many of you are in IT and concerned about cybersecurity? Please put that in the comments, and that's probably why a lot of you are showing up today is you want to know whether or not this is ideal for your business. So a few things that I've pointed out, and with any social media site, we've seen it with Facebook, we've seen it with other social media companies, and how they get willy-nilly with our data and our privacy and how much they actually share. And that's what I want you to stop and think about. If you're using the platform, some things to think about. And that's really what I want to do. Like I said, just food for thought. And if you're an IT provider and you already see the cybersecurity risk of Clubhouse, let me know too. So this is an article in Forbes, and what I'm going to show you is a couple articles that have come across my, and again, I still keep tabs. I still deal a lot in the IT space. So I keep tabs on things like this. Clubhouse is the hot new social network. So if you're not familiar with Clubhouse, we didn't really talk about that. Clubhouse is a audio-only social media platform. Right now, it is invite-only. Right now, it is iOS only. So you can only do this from a mobile device. And I think therein lies the temptation and the danger for us as consumers, but the temptation for the social media companies to, like I said, get willy-nilly with our privacy and our data protection, our cybersecurity. So these are a few things that Barry Collins contributed to Forbes. Let me switch over to the screen here. So this is so that you can actually see what article I'm talking about. So this is the Forbes article, and he talks about some of the privacy concerns around Clubhouse right now. And again, I think they're very legitimate, and from what I can see, I definitely, this number one tip alone for me has prevented me from jumping on the social network, besides a host of other reasons, which I'll share. So this was interesting, the profiles of non-members. So essentially, when you download the Clubhouse app on your phone and you've been invited by a friend and you're on the waiting list and you finally got accepted as a member, you have the chance to invite 2 other people. And this is where the first privacy concerns actually come up. And this is a screenshot showing those 2 invitations. Who's a great addition to Clubhouse? You'll get credit for the invite on their profile. And again, we're iPhone only right now. But what stood out to me is we haven't even sent these invitations already. But as you can see, this is a list of people that is on, Barry, who wrote the article. This is a list of contacts that are on his phone. The Clubhouse has already put the 2 and 2 together to figure out whether or not they need to be invited to the platform. We haven't even sent the invitation yet. And I think that's an interesting thing right there. And as Barry points out, part of the setup process, you're urged to give Clubhouse access to your phone's contacts so you can contact with other users of the social network. It says, however, it seems Clubhouse is using that information to build profiles of people who aren't yet members. The screen above shows various contacts of mine that Clubhouse is urging me to invite, and they're listed in order of the number of friends they already have on Clubhouse. So it's already putting 2 and 2 together and doing some correlation of data. And he says, as people join the network, Clubhouse is using their mobile phone to check how many times they appear in the contacts of other Clubhouse members. So even if you have no interest in joining Clubhouse whatsoever, the service may well know your name. And again, I'm going to highlight that so you can see that on the screen here. Get the mouse to work here. So the service may well know your name, mobile number, and how many friends you have on the network. So I don't know. And again, that's just my spidey sense tingling, my cybersecurity tingling as to, that's not a good thing already. And I'm just getting started with the platform, assuming that I've accepted that invitation. So this is already starting to show concern. So those of you that are over in the UK and over in Europe, you definitely want to pay attention to this because that's another interesting thing. Germany is actually taking a look. There's a lot of countries over in Europe that are taking a second look at Clubhouse. And this was an interesting one. Alexander Hanf agrees that the service is encouraging users to break European data law. It is a breach of GDPR and does not fall under the household activity exception. Yes, we have case law in the EU for invite a friend referral marketing, which states that you must have the consent of your friend to share their personal data with a third-party commercial entity. So, as an IT provider, you're using Clubhouse and being on Clubhouse and attaching your contact list, which could likely be some of your customers. That poses a problem. That poses a real problem. The other thing that they're doing, they're recording voice chats. And they're doing it under the guise of we're meant to supporting incident investigations, so we temporarily record the audio in a room while the room is live. But they get to determine whether or not something is abusive or not. How many of you IT folks out there already might be second-guessing Clubhouse? And how many of you have actually advocated to your customers potentially against the use of Clubhouse? I want to know. I want to know that, if this is a conversation that needs to be pushed forward. So please share that. So those of you on the call, especially those of you over in the Europe, how many, GDPR is something that has come full front as being, something that you have to keep track of, every single thing, and for yourself and your customers. And it's the same here in the States. Those laws are being passed as we talk, as we have this broadcast. Another article, too, is Clubhouse confirms data spillage of its audio streams. So this particular wasn't a hack or anything. somebody decided they were going to stream the audio from Clubhouse out on their website. That's a big no-no on Clubhouse. You're not allowed to broadcast the audio or video of the audio to any other platform. It's against their terms of use. So they want to keep you on the platform. And again, it makes sense. It's a social network. So that does make full sense. But the thing that is interesting with that, let me see if I can find the part here. So that person who did that was automatically banned from the platform. So they broke the rules. Okay, that's a given. But this is one of the things that was interesting to me. Where's that at here? It says the incident occurred because a user had realized that it was possible to be in multiple chat rooms at once, so they were broadcasting the audio out there. It says, by understanding how this worked, the user could connect a Clubhouse API to his website and essentially share his login remotely with anyone on the internet who wanted to listen to the audio chats from the app. Again, he broke the rules, was kicked off the platform. But it goes into API security. And I deal a lot with cybersecurity, or startup firms, rather, and that's one of the things they're least concerned about, to be honest with you. They're not concerned about data privacy. They're not concerned about necessarily security. That's the thing with startup companies. They're, especially ones that are venture funded, they need to turn a profit, turn it, and start generating money and users as soon as possible. But again, it opens up data protection laws. So let me flip over to LinkedIn because it's pretty darn quiet. So I'm not hearing from any of the folks as to whether or not you guys are seeing any issues with this so far. So, all right. So I don't see any. I'll flip back over here. So again, sometimes the comments don't come in. So if you can still hear me and everything's coming in, post in the comments. Just let me know that you can hear me okay. So we got some giveaways coming up. So if you've never watched the show before, occasionally we have some giveaways on the show. All right, so I digress. So going back here, Stanford researchers discovered several security flaws, including the fact that the user's unique ID numbers and the ID numbers of the Clubhouse chat rooms they created were being transmitted in plain text, and it could be possible to connect IDs to specific user profiles. And again, those of us who've worked in cybersecurity, data security for any length of time, know the ramifications potentially of that. It says the researchers were also concerned that the Chinese government could gain access to the raw audio files on Clubhouse servers because its back-end infrastructure is provided by a real-time engagement API firm called Agora, which has offices in both Shanghai and San Francisco. So again, I'm not telling you whether or not, what to do with the platform. What I wanted to point out is if you're on the platform, just know that the conversations you're having may be shared with others. And again, that I know that that's probably not a super big surprise to any of us that a social media company would decide to share data with others. But again, the potential of a nation state getting a hold of that, you think you're having a private conversation in Clubhouse when it's just the opposite. Again, just something to think about, something to, again, looks like the comments have dropped off, guys. So, there we go. All right. I think they're coming back in. So, there we go. So now we're cooking with gas. So we've got comments again. So thank you. Love this technology. I love it, when things are live. So, Robert, I'm with you. When I think of Clubhouse, I think of Mickey Mouse. That's the first thing that came to my mind when everybody started talking about Clubhouse back in the fall. And I think, given COVID, everybody wanted something new. We wanted something to break the distraction. I think a lot of us, especially me, I'm tired. Man, I stopped using Facebook a long time ago. Personally, it just became a cesspool. It just one of those platforms that I love to hate at this point. So, anyway, so Bruce says, I've connected with some good people through Clubhouse, but tend to move away from Clubhouse to traditional communications like phone, email, etc. And that's what I'm going to talk about in our second point here. Again, it's just, we don't think about all of the things that are potential. We all go back to things we're comfortable with. Bruce says, I don't have an iPhone, so I used an old iPhone 6S with no apps on it, no contacts, etc., so I feel fairly safe. So yeah, that's a great idea. I don't have any social media apps on my phone at all, not even LinkedIn. And again, that's just, my personal thing for me has more meant to do with mental health and productivity and just not being chained to my phone than it does anything else. But again, that's just me. So welcome to the show, Mark Hayworth. So we appreciate you being on the show again. Let's see here. Is there a better platform to watch? And again, I'm gonna go into the second one, our second point, and for me, I think just trying to get the traditional social media platforms that you're already used to, LinkedIn, YouTube. If you're trying to start a YouTube channel, especially with IT providers, doing live streaming like this, I mean that to me, we're able to build a community around this show, and you have the ability to do that. We have the technology to do that, and we have the people willing to sit down and dedicate time to that. I like seeing people. Yes, I listen to some podcasts, but I am a visual person personally, so I interact more with what I see. So Robert, he talks, let me see here, get the right mouse. So Robert said, my take is that any social platform is public information. It is. If you don't want it public or leaked, don't publish it. And I think that's a great tip. So again, if you're already on the platform, you're already finding benefit, I'm not going to rain on your parade. Great. I'm just saying, again, this is meant to do. Sorry about that. Put that up there twice, Robert. But again, if you have a point of view, please share that. I'm not, tuning out any points of view whatsoever. That's not what I'm here to do. Again, it's just about challenging what everybody says you got to be on the platform. That's what I'm about, challenging. So, while I'm going to take a quick drink here, so thank you, Steve. He said he can still hear me, so we appreciate that. Let me know. But while I take a quick drink here, let's give away something. Let's see here. Who wants a free t-shirt? Whoever the first person to put in the comments, free t-shirt, will get a nice, sweet Team Orange t-shirt. All right, Mark, we appreciate you watching the broadcast as well, so we appreciate those comments. Good to hear your valuable insight again. Thank you. Thank you, Mark, for again, contributing to the conversation. So let's keep it moving, and again, first person to put in their free t-shirt in the comments grabs the free t-shirt, and we have a winner chicken dinner. Mike Joseph gets the free t-shirt, so awesome, Mike Joseph. So there you are. There you are, Mike. We'll send that out to you. If you could just DM me your mailing address after the show's over, I will get that sent right out to you. Let me know what size t-shirt you wear as well, Mike, so we can get our team to send that right out to you. All right, let's keep clipping on. So going back to the conversation, it's not anything new. So going back to your question, Bruce, is there a better platform to watch? So let's just talk about and unpackage, Clubhouse. Yes, it is a new app. It's an audio only format. That's kind of new to social networks. However, if you're like me and you've grown up with party lines, anybody remember party lines back in the 80s? Where you would dial one whatever number, and a bunch of people would get on a random call, and you would just sit there and talk. So I don't think that's anything new. That's what we had back in the 80s. Party lines. Late night talk radio. That to me is what, Clubhouse feels like. And, those who are using the platform, podcasting is another one that I want to get started myself, Bruce. So I want to take this show and move it into a podcast format because I realize that our audience may be listening to this with just their headphones on while they're walking, who may not want the screen in front of them, who might just want to listen to valuable information. So that's where I personally would invest my time, is things that I already know that can work, things that I've already put into my marketing mix and my communication mix. For me, this is just one of those things that I've got to stop and learn a completely new platform. And I know I'm not fully implementing some of the other ideas that I want to have inside of our company. So, I guess to answer your question, Bruce, are there things that you would like to be doing and know you should be doing better inside your company, whether that's LinkedIn or you want to get your YouTube channel working? That's where I would invest my time, and that's where we're going to invest our time. So, to answer, thanks for clarifying that question too, Bruce. I was asking if this live broadcast was going out on YouTube or another platform, a platform where you could see our comments. Thank you. Yes. So right now we're using Restream to broadcast this out to YouTube and Facebook. But primarily this show started as a LinkedIn Live only program. But yes, to me, the live streaming was one of those things that I wanted to do for a while. And COVID just kind of kicked me in the shorts and said, okay, now it's let's get that going. So that's what I devoted time to do. So when Clubhouse started to come on the scene and everybody started talking about Clubhouse back in the fall, I didn't want to take away from what we were already doing, because again, these aren't to the point where I want them yet. I want to have new initiatives. I want to do other things inside of our company first. That for me is, why I won't, devote a lot of time to Clubhouse. So you can see our comments now. That's good. So I love it when technology works. I got to call my IT guy, huh, Bruce? Anyway, so yes, to answer your question, for me, LinkedIn, going back to my days as an MSP, I ran an MSP for 10 years, and LinkedIn by far was the greatest asset that I had in our marketing, because it allowed me to build communication. It allowed me to build relationships with people in a non-sales way. And it allowed me to reach a wider audience than anything else that we did. So yes, for me, and I still preach that to this day, if you're doing B2B or B2C, whatever it is, to me, it's H to H. It's human to human. And for me, platform, agnostic, LinkedIn just continues to work. LinkedIn allows me to do that. And yes, a side product of being a good human being and being an educator and helping people is that we get business out of that. And doing that on LinkedIn consistently allowed me to bring in business as an MSP. It allowed me to grow my business to the point where I was able to sell it. And now I'm about educating and helping people learn from all of the business mistakes that I've made over the past 30 years, running multiple companies. And that's what this is, dedicated to do, is to show you how to do that. And I think, for me, live streaming and LinkedIn is the platform where your customers are at. That's where business people are at. That's where executives are at. The people that we want to have conversations with. LinkedIn is where they're at. And again, I've never, people aren't on Facebook to search for an IT provider. They're on there to socialize, and that's pretty much it. That's why I like LinkedIn. People are on there to do business. So to me, that's what makes it work. So that to me is where I would rather spend my time. I would rather spend an hour on LinkedIn than to spend an hour listening to somebody drone on Clubhouse. And again, my personal opinion, that's just my take. But if you agree with that, let me know. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only weirdo out there who thinks that way. All right, let's move on to point number 3. Point number 3 is, I think Clubhouse, I feel like I'm picking on Clubhouse, but again, I'm just saying there's too much information out there. And when I was running my IT company, that's where I got to the point where I need to stop going to seminars and buying courses and buying the latest, greatest thing that everybody's trying to sell me, and actually take the things that I've already know, take the things that I've already spent money on, and actually implement things. And that's what I think we need right now. We need more doing and not just people learning. And I think that's where I see Clubhouse is just people droning on, talking about themselves all day long. And yes, there are people on there that are there to help. So I'm not going to rain on that parade, but I just think there's too much information. We don't need more information. People are trying to learn about something. If you're trying to learn about LinkedIn or YouTube or learn how to do marketing over on Clubhouse, but you're not doing LinkedIn, you're not you don't have systems and processes around marketing inside your company, you know that there's other things over here that you're not doing. That to me is the better spent time rather than sitting there on Clubhouse for an hour. And again, just my 2 cents, but I think we need more doing than we need just people droning on. And if you're an entrepreneur, for me, I'm more intentional about my learning. And just sitting there, people discussing random topics. I just think there's too much random information on Clubhouse as well. And I'm not the only one that kind of feels that way. This kind of got me started. How many of you follow Marcus Sheridan on LinkedIn? I've followed Marcus Sheridan for a while now. He's a fellow WVU, so he's a fellow Mountaineer. But I came across this, a month ago and, jumped all over this. Marcus, if you're watching the show, I'd love to have you on this show to talk about this. But I love this post, and he says, I'm not buying Clubhouse. We've seen this story play out again and again. Platforms come and go all the time. They're hailed as the next big thing by social media and marketing people trying to sell us stuff. But I like his points. This is why I believe, here's the fundamental reason why I believe Clubhouse isn't built to last. You can't just go there, quickly post something, and then leave. And I agree with him. It's a big investment of your time. You have to be on there live to get that information. And that investment is too high. For me, that investment of my time is too high just to get on there and learn about random things. And he said, think about it. Facebook, you can get on there, post something, and leave. Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of them are the same. You can get on there, post, and leave. And he said granted, they use AI and all that stuff to keep you on the platform. But he said that's efficient is not what Clubhouse is. You go, you talk, you listen. This is exactly why people are already getting bored of the platform. And he said this is why many other folks like me are simply not interested, because the idea of spending so much time listening to people discuss a topic in a way that may or may not be helpful and informative day in and day out sounds like absolute torture. And that sentence right there is what hit me right between the eyes. I couldn't agree with him more. Because if you've watched the top of the show, it kind of makes fun of that platform. People are just on there to talk about themselves, and they drone on again about me. And I think we've just had enough of that. I personally have had enough of that, and I don't want to be on a social platform. I disconnect from people that are like that on LinkedIn. So again, it's not the platform specific, but I just think there's too much of it on Clubhouse. So Steve says, I think the other platforms have their place depending on what it is you're selling. But for IT, I agree that LinkedIn is probably a better fit. And again, those other platforms, if you're selling, photography services, then yeah, you got to be on Instagram. You got to be on the places where people are looking for that product or service. And people aren't on, quite frankly, people aren't on Clubhouse to learn about IT services. people are on Clubhouse because Snoop Dogg is hanging out with Gary Vee or whatever it is. People are on there just for the notoriety of it. And that to me is where I got just a bit of an issue in the time constraint, the commitment that it takes. So that leads us into the third point, which is, as I mentioned, there's no way to go back and watch. So if you're on Clubhouse and you get people to join your little Clubhouse group, they can listen to it. And if you're not available to sit there and listen live, there's no way to go back and listen after the fact. So I think we miss all of that, the traction in what we're trying to do with our marketing, our message, our communication, our education, our, building relationships. We miss out on that. If they're not available live, they miss it. So I know we're on live right here, but most of our viewers actually watch this show after the fact. And that is the benefit that we have, is that people can go back and watch this show over and over and over again and be able to, again, I have the traction of building that audience where I don't have that on Clubhouse. So you totally miss out on that part of the process. So I agree, new platforms don't have the security of well-established platforms. The risks are high for newbies. And again, even some of the established platforms out there, are very loose and run of the gun with data security. Anyway, but we already covered that at the top of the show. So, again, this is just different schools of thought. So it's about doing what's necessary. So if you feel that Clubhouse is necessary for you, again, don't let me rain on your parade. If you're finding value of it, please share that. Like I said, if you're just joining in to this part of the show, let me know how you're benefiting from that for you and your company. Because maybe it's just I don't know about the right rooms to be in or the right conversations to be in on Clubhouse. But a large portion of what's really driving this for me is fear of missing out, FOMO. And I think that's the being invitation only, and it's exclusivity, and only people on iPhones, on iOS devices, they're playing on that fact. And I think that's really what has caused the momentum to get going. And like I said, this really took off in the fourth quarter of 2020, I think because of COVID and people were bored. So they're gaining momentum with people wanting to be on there. I probably get invitations a few times a week, people, wanting me to join Clubhouse because they feel cool. Hey, I've got invites. I've got the ability to invite you to Clubhouse. So I'm cool. And to me, that's just, it's vain. It's ego driven. And I left that mindset a long time ago. I believe in just the opposite. I believe in the joy of missing out. I believe in the JOMO, the JOMO rather than FOMO. But again, that's just me. I don't feel like I'm missing out because I'm not on the platform. I feel like I'm gaining because I'm able to take the time and devote it to the people that I want to spend time with on the platforms that are working for me. And I listen to, anybody follow Peter McKinnon, Maddie and Pete podcast. I've listened to a few of those. I like Peter McKinnon as a filmmaker. I've watched a lot of his work just because we've had the time, watching a lot of YouTube over the last year. But I like the creative process that he goes through. I like his cinematography. But they have the same thing. That he lives and breathes YouTube. I think he's up, 5 million subscribers on YouTube, and is a full-time YouTuber, full-time content creator. However, I watched his show. He and Maddie posted their latest episode, so I just want to play a quick snippet of that. Hopefully I don't get in trouble with Pete. But I think this reinforces the fact of what I've been talking about today, and that it made me feel good because I'm not the only one that feels that overwhelming pressure to be on Clubhouse.
Get stressed out a lot more recently when Clubhouse comes out and everyone's like, "Are you on Clubhouse?"
What do I got to do on it?
Yeah, I'm on Clubhouse, but like, should I use it? And there's
What do I do?
There's a point where I just think, dude, enough, man.
Yeah.
Like, go out into the back and cut a trail with your son. Like that's I would rather do that. And that's not to take away from the people that enjoy Clubhouse. Like Gabriel says he drives a lot all the time, and instead of listening to podcasts, he listens to Clubhouse, and that's super cool. And I think the format is awesome.
Very interesting.
But I just think, like, that's another thing that I got to invest in? Should I be on that? The pressure? Should I be trying to utilize TikTok more? Oh, what about, don't forget YouTube? Oh, Instagram, bam. Oh, but don't do Instagram posts. Do stories.
Yeah,
Wait, don't do stories. Do reels.
Reels and then post it on
but
stories.
Are you still making YouTube vids, bro? Shorts. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing
What is
anymore.
happening?
Suddenly I feel like I'm still using a floppy disk, and I'm like, the joke's on me.
That message resonated, with me when I watched that episode. Because you feel that. You feel that pressure that, okay, we've got to do this. And when marketers and friends and colleagues tell us, hey, you got to be on there. I remember when I told people, hey, I'm not on Facebook anymore. I'm on there. The only thing I go on Facebook right now is I have 3 vendors that have their support groups. And the main way to get tech support is through their Facebook group, which I absolutely hate because it forces me to go out on the platform. But this reinforces the fact that even people who live, eat, sleep, and breathe social media are tired of just that pressure. Like, you've got to be on there, and you've got to use that, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. That's what this show's about, doing the opposite of that. If you don't feel it's necessary to be on Clubhouse, don't be on Clubhouse. But hopefully the 5 things that I've shared with you today will at least allow you to mull that conversation over a little bit more in your head, and allow you to, justify whether or not it is actually necessary and where should you be spending your time. So if you agree with that, or if there's one thing that you take away from today's show, please put that in the comments. I like to see where people find value in this show, because I'm not about just sitting there putting out content and talking about me all day. I do this show so that it just stirs up conversation. It stirs up the mindset of stop following everything else that everybody says that we should be doing. Clubhouse is one of them. But again, just share in the comments, what your takeaway is from the show. If you're listening to this or watching this after the fact on the replay, please share that, because I follow all of the comments of our show very faithfully. I am faithfully dedicated to this show and keeping this support group of our therapy sessions on Wednesday afternoon beneficial for those people who come in and spend time with us. All right, so while you're dropping in the comments, for those of you who watched last week's show, one of the things I didn't get to show you, we did a behind the scenes of the studio here and the live stream setup where we've been doing this show for the last year. So I wanted to show a couple things, while we're doing that, while we're waiting for people to kind of, chime in on comments. But yes, Robert, Jomo, it's the joy of missing out, and it's peaceful, man. It's calm. Again, that builds calm, not having the pressure and giving into the pressure, having to be on every stinking social network out there. All right, so anyway, like I said, if you've caught the show last week, I wanted to show you one of the ways that I present, like this episode right here, where I have a side-by-side of my big head with slides. So this is how I do all of our keynote presentations, and all of the presentations for our show is from this production here. So I wanted to show you, we use Canva. I was a Microsoft, proponent for a long, long time. PowerPoint's kind of resource intensive, but I do a lot of our graphic design and everything in Canva. So I tend to find that I go make graphics and things in Canva, and then I've got to flip back over and put those in PowerPoint. You can actually do presentations right out of Canva. So this screen right here is an actual presentation from a web browser. Again, this is using my Mac Mini. Everything's being sent off of my MacBook Pro. but I can, as you can see on the left screen here, as I look into the camera, I can actually see my show notes of what I'm talking about right off camera. So this allows me to quickly look down and be able to move forward in our presentation. So where I'm not fumbling around looking for stuff. So I wanted to show you that. I wasn't able to show you that last week in last week's show. But let me flip here. So what I'm actually showing you in this view, so let me go back here. This view right here is actually displaying this tiny little window that's sitting behind everything. So this is just like PowerPoint where you're broadcasting to the audience. This is what the audience sees. But I can actually see all of my notes and the next slides, all of that fun stuff. So I wanted to share that with you. So again, I want to try to do more of that this year because that last week's show was phenomenal. Had all kinds of people asking me how to do the show, how they can do this for themselves. So I just wanted to show a little bit about that. One of the other cool things that I talked about last week, this view here, we talked a bit about the Stream Deck. So I talked a little bit about that. But one of the things I was missing, I had to do too much on keyboard. So I've got one keyboard, Bluetooth keyboard, that shares both machines, my MacBook Pro and my Mac Mini. So if you want to see the whole setup, definitely tune into last week's show. But one of the other things that I did this week, Elgato actually has an iPad app for the Stream Deck. This is a physical device, but I downloaded the app and connected it over to my Mac Mini, so I can actually run scenes on my Mac Mini. So get the right slide here. So I can actually run the slides from my Mac Mini over here. So all of the, let me get the right, there we go. So everything that's run over here is being run with this Stream Deck. So basically this gave me, I saved $150. This guy's $150 for this little thing. This is a subscription service. It's like $25 a year. Totally cool with that. But this allows me to flip back and forth between all of the different camera angles from both machines with these two guys right here. So this is how I run the full production. So thank you, Mike. Appreciates the setup. So yeah, again, if you've got questions about the setup, please post those. But I did a full breakdown of this whole setup last week on last week's show. But I just wanted to show you a couple things, about what we're doing. And then one of the other cool things that showed up literally 1 hour before we went live was the new mic, which I am absolutely loving. We got a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 audio mixer. Picked that up over the weekend. The mic came in, like I said, it was delivered literally at about 2 p.m. Eastern time. So I plugged it in, fired up. This is the first show we're running on it. And I got to tell you, I'm absolutely super stoked and happy with this setup. So thank you, Steve. I don't have TikTok, neither do I. I have no intentions of being on there. So I will also not be needing Clubhouse. Amen. So glad we were able to help you do what is necessary, Steve. So before I flip over, I've had some questions since last week's show as well for folks who wanted to know how to do live streaming. And we have a LinkedIn live streaming mini course that we put out a few weeks ago. But this walks you through every single step of the process of what I've learned in producing. I think this is episode like 42 or 43 over the last year. So everything, all of the starting steps that you need to do a broadcast like this, how to apply for LinkedIn Live. So all of the things you'll learn in this course, if you don't have LinkedIn Live or you're over on YouTube, everything is still applicable. Everything that you learn in the course is completely applicable for that. I even break down a full checklist of every single thing we do in the course. And this doesn't take hours and hours and hours of time to do. I think total runtime of all of the individual videos, which we've broken down into like 4 or 5 minute little smaller segments, is over on orangenomad.com/Team Orange. You'll see all of the different training, but this is the training we just released a couple weeks ago. I just had a lot of people asking me, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I get started? How do I apply for LinkedIn Live? Because I think, again, there's not many people doing it. There's not many people on this platform putting out good content. So I think it's a huge opportunity for IT service providers, for MSPs, MSSPs, to get on here, educate, build rapport, build conversations, build relationships with people who want to know, who need to know about what you do, in a format that is actually fun. I appreciate it. So Steve, thank you for joining us. I know you got a jet. It's evening, so hopefully you get a good night's rest and stay safe where you're at. We appreciate you checking out the show today, as usual. So, Ian, welcome to the show. I agree Clubhouse is time-consuming and that a lot of rooms are mostly vain chatter, but I also get a chance to pop into super valuable rooms. I got to pick the brains of great people that helped me rethink complex challenges and sent me on new learning paths. So I'm glad you were able to find that. But again, it's just balancing those things out, is trying to weed through the garbage. But it's the case on any social network, really. But again, it's just whether or not you actually have to be on there is a question that only you have the ability to answer. So thank you for tuning in, Ian. I appreciate you being a repeat guest on the show and giving us the support that you do as much as you can, being over here, lending your thoughts, your 2 cents. We appreciate what you do for the IT channel. So hopefully, like I said, you were able to get, I know we went really long on this episode, but I just, again, I think it's just valuable. It's really helped me to challenge a lot of things in my business as to where you want to spend time, where you should be spending time, where you're going to maximize the most benefit from what you do. So this is Drake White Night in my house. So if you love music, check out Drake White. So this will take you over to his YouTube page, where he live broadcasts every Wednesday night. It's Wednesday night music therapy. He broadcasts, I think it's at 7 Central, so 8 Eastern time here in the United States. But again, if you love music, check out my friend Drake White, what he's got to offer later on this evening. So that's going to wrap the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of you who shared your earbuds, shared your screens with us this week. And I appreciate all of those great folks who do what they do. So if you'd like to support the show, I'd appreciate it. You look cool like Robert Gibbons here supporting his Team Orange swag. You can head over to orangenomad.com/merch. Grab yourself a t-shirt, sweatshirt, stickers, whatever you like. But that helps us keep the lights on here at the Orange Nomad Studios and allows us to continue to bring quality content to viewers like you. Thanks again. I appreciate it. I will see you next week as usual. If there are topics or questions or things that you want to have us cover on the show, please send those over. But again, I appreciate you listening to the show today. As I end every broadcast, always stay humble and kind and always do what is necessary. I'll see you on the next show.